Alrighty, we're live.
Hey.
Hey y'all, how many we got here? I gotta see this. How many we got going on? Set up my phone. This is Beth. And she has a real cool story to tell everyone. Come on, phone. What's going on? Tell me I'm live, but something's weird. There we go. It was kind of like frozen. Videos. Okay. 19. Good. 21. I know it's a busy day. Lindy G has 2 videos out and whatnot.
Sundays are busy for videos.
Yeah, they are. But it's also good for me. And working out for you, since your family's watching football and everything.
They are very, very busy.
Good thing.
Football. Everybody's fed and taken care of. So,
excellent.
Yeah, I'm ready.
So you guys, would see the title. This is about Beth's story of our alien friends. And I talked, about 5 hours last Sunday? Something like that?
It was a minute. Yeah, till my phone was dead.
It was a very cool conversation and very interesting. So it's almost like I'm being drawn to be almost like a alien whisperer or something to help you out.
Might be.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm trying to find my path, but it's so cool to meet you, and your story was so interesting. So I wanted you to come on, and you were gracious to come on about telling your story.
Hey. And, thank you for wanting to hear it.
And you're working on notes you've done for many, many years, right?
My story. Yeah, it's thousands of pages, thousands and thousands. It's pretty big. But yeah,
we were getting that, or I was getting to that, it could be a very interesting book.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what I'd love for it to be. I would love for it to be that. Figured it'd be in 2 parts if it was. So, which you picked up on without me even saying.
Isn't that crazy? I don't know, but if you can't eventually find a publisher, the society or group that Dolores Cannon started is very helpful in getting that types of publications out there.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I have to get it organized.
Her daughter, or I don't know if it's daughter or daughter-in-law, still runs their foundation and whatnot. And they do publications.
Fascinating. See, these things all happen for a reason. I'd never known about that if I hadn't talked to you.
Yes, they do.
Yay.
So, like, if Random House or someone doesn't want to pick up the story, because
big ones don't take me right away.
At some point, check email or whatnot when you're ready to rock and roll with it, because you have a lot of information.
Yes, I do.
And when I was talking with you, I was getting something about the angel Metatron, and we researched a little bit, and he's like one of the scribes.
Yes.
Right? And it totally resonates, because you've been article and taking all these notes of your life.
Yeah. Yeah, and I put them all in this story, which it sort of spans all of human history and every other history, and then all the way into the future. So, I've got all of humankind and every other kind. Just, it's like everything that happens in life, I sort of spin it around and then throw it in that story, and then it makes sense. But it ended up being pretty cool, and I'm not that creative. So I don't know ever where it came from or how it started, but I think I'm supposed to do something with it. It's supposed to go somewhere. That's at least my dreams have my dreams. That's what my dreams say.
Well, it's definitely, like even Dolores Cannon had a hard start, per se.
Yeah.
She started doing her hypnotism, and then it went into more, and she started writing books, and then she started her own, publishing company, and with many people, they all need to start, but nowadays there's greater avenues.
Yeah.
To get that story out.
Nothing worth doing is easy anyway. So
right.
It's okay. I've got time.
Yes, you do.
So I work on it every day, and sometimes when I'm not typing on it, it's always swirling around up in my head. So, and I always get more things on it, and I get big chunks of information that come into my head, and then it'll connect with something I wrote 8 years ago. And like 8 years ago, something dropped in my head, and I wrote it down with no idea where it was going to go. And then like it'll show up today. So that's how I know that something, not to make myself like, I'm so special, I've got all this outside influence, but like it's not just me. I feel like it's more than just me giving me this information. I'm not coming up with it by myself. That's how I feel. I think it's coming from other places, whether it's them or Metatron or guides or whatever. I'm thankful for it. And hopefully one day it'll be more, and some could help other people make sense of the world that makes no sense. But
right.
I did write Donald Trump years ago, 10 years ago, as Nero.
Really?
Trying to make a deal while Rome burned. So with super beings, but he was just as evil and freaking awful as he is now. So when he ended up being president, I was like, really? That's just too much of a coincidence. Like, how does that happen? So,
well,
yeah.
The interesting thing with you also is that you are very intuitive also. You're getting guidance from beyond.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
With your experience with our alien friends and whatnot.
They've tinkered with my mind, maybe. I don't know if that's like, if they mind tinker. They do things so that you are more open to certain things, I think, for sure.
You get those downloads.
Huge downloads. Yeah. And it's like, it comes right in your head, and then it's like a spool of information kind of afterwards. And it's like days worth of this thing kind of unspooling, and then you have information. I don't even know if that makes sense. That's how it goes for me. It's like, we're going to give you the information, but you can only look at it slowly, because it's here you go. You just wait, take a look slowly. So yeah, that's my story. Part of my story.
Part of the story. So you want to go to want to go to your first encounter?
Sure. Now, with the reptilians or the elementals when I was little?
I think it was, 14?
Okay, like so I was 15.
15?
And we lived out in the middle of nowhere. And we had all these ducks, dogs, cats, everything. And my mom and my stepdad had, and my sister and me. And anything that happened out there, my parents would know, because the animals all acted up, and they'd be right at the windows or whatever. Well, this one night, I'm sleeping, and it was really hard for the noise to wake me up too. But the ducks were quacking, the dogs were barking, the cats were running around the house. So I get up out of bed, and I was really groggy, just groggy. I'm not a groggy person, but everything was flooded with lights. It was like this white light, white blue sun weirdness beaming in every single window from our dirt road. And I got out of bed, and I went to my sister's room, and she was out. But I went to my parents' room first, and knocking on the door, and there was nothing. They would not wake up. Then I go to my sister's room, I pull the blinds down, and it looked like the moon was hovering over our road. It was a perfect sphere. It was like a big perfect circle, and it was making a sound you really couldn't hear, but you felt it was like woo 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 woo. It's my impression, my woo woo impression, but it was like a vibration, like a hum that you felt in your body. And I'm thinking, oh boy, I better wake someone up. But I wasn't worried. I wasn't upset. It was like it was a sedative. My whole body just was not stressed about this at all. And I just know someone else should see it. And the last thing I remember from that night is going like this to my sister, and I see my hand going for my sister. And the next thing I knew is I woke up in my bed. I was upside down facing the foot of the bed, and I had no clothes on. And I ended up with these 5 dots going across my belly, like from ovary to ovary, I guess. And I could feel them. They went way deep into my body. Like if you touched them, you'd feel them way back here. It was just the weirdest thing. They didn't go away for weeks. And about a month later, I ended up with like really bad pain, and I was in the emergency room, and I had a softball-sized cyst on one of my ovaries. And so I ended up getting rid of that, and that was when I started waking up at night, and there would be these huge things in my room, and probably 7 feet tall. They were as tall as the ceiling. They were huge. And I used to call them digital, because they were just sort of, their skin was so weird looking that looking at it in the dark, they looked fuzzed out, but they weren't. It was like the longer it went on, it was always reptilian looking skin is what it looked like. It was dark, and they were just so scary, and they were scary, and gives me the heebies thinking about it. There was always 2 of them, 2 at a time, and they would just stand to the left of my bed, and my whole body, I wouldn't be able to move, and it would feel like I was leaning up against like an electric fence, like, or if there was an electric wall, but you put your whole body on it, and it's like just being shocked over and over, and you can't move. That's how it felt for me. And then that would be it, and I'd wake up in the morning. But I started waking up in weird places out in my house. I'd be just the strangest place. With no reason, wake up with different clothes on, wake up with no clothes on, and it just kept happening over and over and over. And then it kind of just stopped, and it stopped, I'd say, right around the time that I had that thing happen when I was leaving a football game, and I made it home, but it was a while later. And the last thing I remember was going down a hill to get to my car, because I thought I was having a panic attack, and I just felt real panicky. I had to get out of there. And I got home, and I was like, how did I get here? I have no memory of driving home. I was gone for about 2 hours, and I was fine. I was perfectly fine, but I had no memory of where I'd been or how I'd gotten home. And so, but then after that, the things, I don't remember them coming, but then that was about when a bunch of other weird stuff started happening, and the aliens stopped coming, but then the other weird started up. and then they didn't start coming again until, I'd say, 5 or 6 years ago, and they're not the same ones that I remember. I mean, I'm sure I've been going, but
so there was like a 10 to 15 year break.
Yeah, and I mean, I got married and had kids and all this stuff, and it was like a different brand of weird started happening in my world. You know what I mean?
And that's what my guides were telling me when I tap into these sources, that from like the 60s to the almost 90s, these reptilians were doing these experiments.
Yeah, it would have been so 95 would have been the last time. 94, 95 is the last that I remember seeing them around, and then it would have started about 92, 93 or
Right.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what my guides are telling me from other readings is that these pleiadians were coming in and banishing that
Mm-hmm.
kind of experiments
Yeah.
and that kind of abductions because it was evil. It
It's
wasn't for
horrifying.
good.
It was absolutely horrifying. To this day, it still makes my hair stand up on my neck. The feeling that I got from them was just no regard for your fear whatsoever. Be scared. Like they don't care. They do not care. The mean ones
Right.
just care. They I'm thrilled that I lived. I'm sure that other people haven't. I don't know
Right.
what we're doing. I'm sure it involved my uterus because I think you said they were trying to
Take
make
egg.
make hybrids and stuff
Make
like that.
hybrids. Correct. Yeah.
And then the ones now though, there's not a scary one. I haven't had a single scary incident, not one. And if anything, they seem kind. I mean, they don't take any shit or attitude. They don't take any attitude. If the minute you give them attitude, like you're kind of, you don't remember anything anymore. But you want me to tell you about the ones now? About the
Yeah.
ones now. Okay, so
because like now, it isn't feeling like an abduction to you. It's more of like
it's like a visit.
a soul transfer because you're not waking up with no clothes or weird
No,
places, right?
nope. I wake up with memories, and now so no, I love it when I go now. I'm always excited when I wake up and I remember that I've been gone, and I didn't bring my piece of paper with the symbols that they showed me, because I would love to get some feedback on those, because I've looked
Yeah.
at crop circles and everything else. But okay,
You
I'll
need
start.
you need to email that to me so I can concentrate. Maybe I can decode it. I don't know.
That would be wonderful, because I don't know what they mean, and they definitely made sure I knew those are for me to pay attention to. I'm supposed to pay attention to those if I see them.
We
So
need to figure that out.
yeah. But so the first time I remember this group is, so you remember that city that I told you about that I
Mhm.
see across a sea, like, and I don't know what, I know there's animals in the woods behind it, but I don't know, they're like not any animals I know. I feel like that kind of started right around, like they were showing me that, and you said that was from a whole other time altogether, but that
That's what
was
it
kind of,
felt like. Yeah.
yeah, that was kind of the start. And then I just started realizing, because I would wake up and I would realize I had been somewhere, and I remembered being with other people, and we were in like hospital gowns and we were being put in front of certain things or being taken from one place to another by these very, they're tall, they're human looking, but they're pretty beautiful. Their skin is perfect. It's porcelain, not, and I don't mean the color, just like the texture is like beautiful and flawless. If people could be perfect, this is what they look like. And they have a clear tablet, I guess tablets. They hold them in their hands, and that's what when they're observing us doing these puzzles, that's what they take notes on. And they take us from place to place, and I slowly started remembering different parts. And I don't know where to start. I don't know where to start. I'll start with the girl with the face.
Mhm.
I realized that I was going with them and that they were having me do things. And so I knew that when I woke up in these places that I had to pay attention. So I had been there doing other things in the same incident. And then the next part I know is like, I'm consciously aware I'm in this cubicle thing, and they're tall, like white, clear cubicles with white on the outside. They all look like space Tupperware. And it's like there's a bunch of them. I can see them as far as I can see. And some of them have people or not people in them. And I'm in there, I'm on the ground, and I'm looking up, and there's a girl, and she's at the top, and I can look, and she's wearing a white dress like I am, or gown. And again, there's always a feeling of, it's a sedative feeling. Like, you don't panic. There's no upset. That's just like, this is, you're here, and now this girl's floating, and here's what's going on. And so I told her, I was like, hi. And, I started talking to her, and she said that I was supposed to go up there, because when I go with them, I always forget to move, how I move around there, I guess. That's what she said. She said, you're supposed to remember how you move around here. You always forget. So they want you to come up here to show me, or show them you can still move around. And I remembered that things there don't operate like they do here. It's on thought. So I had to want to go up, and I did. And that's how I got up to meet her. And she's just, we're floating in this cubicle thing, and she looks at me, and she's got the sedative voice, kind of like I do, like, oh, this is no big deal. And she looks like a very normal girl, blonde, little bob haircut, my age, or younger at the time. And she said, I'm supposed to show you something. I said, okay. And she went like this. And when she pulled her hands down, her face had horns coming out of it. And I'm the sedative effect. I was like, oh, wow, your face. You've got horns. You're a dragon girl. And she said, and then she did it again, and it was into something else, and just again, and it was something else. And she said something that, stuck with me, which is a mental note that I make when I'm there. She said, there's lots of us down there. You're supposed to know. And I said, down there, Earth. Oh, I am on a ship. I am in space, because down there, I gotcha. And so I remembered that when I woke up, and I was just so excited. I was like, oh my God, they're shapeshifters. They're down here, and I was in the sky. And then after that, I started remembering more and more and more. And I asked them before I went to bed one night, I said, can I please remember space? Can you just show me space? I want to remember. Just point me at a window or something. And I really, really thought hard about it before I went to sleep, meditated, did the whole thing, talking to aliens, because I know they can hear me. And they did, because within a couple days I woke up, and I remembered staring out of this huge rounded ovalish sort of window, and I could see space, and I saw all the stars, and they're up there. There's a lot of them. There, it looked like a highway wherever where my ship was parked. It looked like a highway outside. There were so many moving pieces and parts and little looking things just zipping back and forth. And I told them, thank you for letting me remember that. And then it wasn't long after that I had another experience, and that was, we haven't talked about the puzzles. Do you want me to talk about those? They started bringing, and this has happened twice now, that I have seen people, well, 3 times, but I didn't actually see my boy. He was up there with me, but I didn't see him. I think that you see your child on a spaceship, it overrides everything. So they fuzzed him out. But I had a friend, and he was, spacing kind of nuts like me and all my other friends. And the next thing I know is I saw him on a ship, or with them, and we were in I call it the game room, because there's these clear, tiny little clear tables with weird things that you have to try to put together. And I mean, they don't make any sense, but all you have to do is show that you can sort of work together and try. And that's how I take it. But some people get really angry when they're trying to put these puzzles together, I noticed. And those people that get really angry, everyone steps back from them. And that's what I did. I was like, okay. So you step back, and then the other ones, the aliens, they come in and they just gently remove that person. It's like, okay, this person doesn't have that thing, these stupid, ridiculous looking tests that we put out, the games that we put out for them to solve and whatever, that make no sense. They make no sense whatsoever. And if you're in those people just aren't even ready to cooperate. And for some reason, it just levels it up until they just lose their minds and they get escorted out. But then I had another friend who put the puzzles together beautifully. And she was just fine. And then we were separated, and she went off with a group of them. I didn't tell you about this, but she was having the best time, and she's waving at me, and I'm like, no, come with me. And that was, that was and I told her about it the next day. I was like, how'd you sleep last night? She said, really strange. And I said, okay, so I have a story for you. I think you might have gone with me. And she completely believed me, because she had seen some weird stuff that she can't explain either. So I think if you're ready, they are taking you to tinker and open you up so that you can help down here, because shit's hitting the fan. Stuff's hitting the fan. And humanity needs all the help that they can get. And, without an outright alien intervention, we just have to be the ones who can help, I guess. That's how I feel. It seems like it's fun.
The whole movement of people and
well, and there's the one. Now I'm allowed to go without. I get to keep my clothes. I'm not in the white gown anymore, and they have me with the last time not the last time, but the last time I was with other humans. The humans weren't humans. The people were in the white gown, the hospital gown, and I was in my clothes, and I was sitting between two of them. And I was supposed to help the one on the left because he was absolutely panicking, and he was completely frozen, and he was young. He was a teenager, maybe, 17 or 18 or so. And I remember his face. He was blonde, and he looked just like a boy I grew up with. And then I heard behind me, you know how to make him feel better. You tell him he's fine. And so I put my hand on his hand, and then I told him, but you don't use words. It's all like telepathic.
It's all mental telepathic.
Yeah. And I'm not telepathic. But up there, it's
you are
different.
Up there, yes.
Yeah, it's different up there. And I told him it would be okay. And I don't know how to explain it, but I sent him calm in my head, and he calmed down. Like I said, you just have to watch this. And because we were at it's like a table, and there were three of us, and there was in a room, and everyone else, there were others, and there were three to a table. And I only feel like it was a war room, if I had to call it anything, because the aliens were up and moving, they're just doing stuff, and it's like, it's go time. These people need to learn. And so we're sitting in front of this sort of clear screen that you can't see anything on until it starts flashing and it starts showing things. And it's like natural disasters. A couple of the scenes I've seen on the news, one that stuck in my head was I think it was the flooding in Venezuela. There was an eruption, and there was a roof, and it had a piece of metal shoved up on the top. I had seen that. That's one of the things that flashed on the screen that we were shown. And it just was more and more and more of that. And then I started getting worried, like, this isn't good. This is really bad. And the voice in my head said, you're going to be fine. This, paraphrasing, you have to do this. You have to learn. You have to watch so that you can be here to make things better later. And, it's going to fall apart. So you have to, when the time comes, you have to be ready to help. And we're just showing you this is coming. This is what's going to happen. And be open for whatever you need to do to help the people, the humans, and myself afterwards. So
yeah, Mother Earth is revolting.
No, she's very unhappy.
She's very unhappy.
Very unhappy, and they can't outright intervene. I think it's like like Star Trek, the Prime Directive. I think that
Right.
there's that, but they want to help, and I just feel nothing but love from these ones. Just love and sort of an affection. I don't know if it is love or not, but there's definitely a love for humanity and a love for the planet, and they wouldn't have traveled so far and do what they do if they weren't trying to help us, because there's not a there's no malice whatsoever. I've never felt it. And I'll tell you, okay, the one with when I was outside with the boys, and this is one of my very favorite stories, just because I wasn't alone. I wasn't by myself. I'd gotten off of work, and it was late, and my husband wasn't home, and my boys were in bed, and this was several years ago, about 5 years ago, and I just wanted to just sit. I didn't want to do anything but just sit and maybe sit outside, and I'd had a long day, and I kept hearing, "Go get your boys. Go get your boys." My head, like it was a belligerent, just get your boys. They should see this. They should see this. They should see this. I'm like, what? No, I don't want to. And then I heard, "Your dad would want them to see this sky." And tell me my dad would want it. That's the quickest way to get me to do something, because he's gone and everything. So I was like, okay, maybe it's a message from Pap, and I'm going to go get them. And I get the boys up, and they come outside with me. And my youngest, he looked at this sky towards the mountain that I sent you a picture of. And he's like, "Mom, those stars, they don't look right, do they?" And I looked at him and I said, no, they don't. And right then they started going like that. It's right as soon as we saw it. Whoo, goosebumps. And they started moving around, and one starts coming at us just like that. Just like 1 minute it is a star, the next minute it is over us. And it was unreal, unbelievable. I'm so glad they were there to see it. One's trying to run inside. He's like, "Mom, we gotta go. They're coming to get us." And my other one, he's all, "Mom, we've got to watch this. This is cool. Look at this. This is amazing. This is aliens," And I'm like, yes, it is. And I think my other boy, his fear kind of maybe sent them away, because he was really getting upset, but he wouldn't go inside if we wouldn't come inside. And so the light coming towards us, and then it goes just off this way, and then it was intercepted by a shooting star, and they both disappeared. So that supposed shooting star comes down like this. It's just a light, boom, like this, and they're gone. Those other two stars that had been with it started moving around, went backwards, and just fixed themselves in the sky. And we were up the rest of the night just talking about it and trying to make sense out of it.
These stars that you see are probably actually ships.
Yes, that's absolutely what I think they were. And the fact that they were telling me to go get my boys, I feel they were telling me because I did not want to. I love them, but I needed a minute. Everyone was asleep. I was really just enjoying my evening, but I was compelled, like I was driven to go get them. And it's like it's like, to me, that opened their mind to the possibility of them, because they hear me talking all the time. They're exhausted, with me and my stories and my theories and the things that I say, but they can't deny what they've seen with their own eyes. So that was kind of like a little bit of a gift to me, I think, and to them, because I think that they'll see more and they won't be able to deny it. And they know there's a little more truth to what their crazy mother says.
Yeah. So how did your sons, and your family get involved, or accept?
My husband is he's a very what you can see kind of a guy. His mind is more open now, And like, he thinks what we're doing right now is super. Like, that's great. Maybe you can learn some more. Maybe talk to other people. Because I'm always looking to figure something out or learn something. And so he thought it was great, this. But then sometimes because, I've always got my cards. We'll be having a conversation. I'm like, yeah, well, my cards say this. And you remember, I don't know if you remember me telling you about that 10 a coin that I always get. That's my,
Yeah.
I just cut the deck and there's my 10 of coins. It's like it follows me around. And but he's seen that happens over and over, and like I'll ask him questions and do my cards, and he thinks it's a little strange because he can't deny the things that he sees too. And so he's had to open his mind to that. And it's been about 22 years of trying. But we're there, and he's very accepting, and he gets me a new deck of tarot cards every now and then. And, his stepdaughter is a wonderful girl, and she's 22, 23. She'll be 23 this year. Or yeah, she's 23 now. And so we do the tarot and stuff like that. So it's been good. And my boys, they just love me to death. They just know I'm odd, and as long as I don't show up to school in my pajamas, they don't care what I do. Or my son calls it my morning face. So other than that, yeah, I'm good. They know that I have, my husband, I have those dreams, and they're not dreams anymore. Anytime I dream, I'm just awake for the whole thing in my head. It's like I'm just watching things happen, and I get messages, and I go places, and I see people, and every now and then it gets to be a little bit intense. And I know in these dreams, in this dream state, that if I, in a dream you can scream and stuff, but it comes out in your body like like a strangled warble. That's what I do. And because I know I'll scream in my dream, and I know my husband will wake me up, and he does. And he'll always ask me, where were you? I think it's just the sweetest thing, because sometimes I'm seeing floods and fires and disasters. And I've got this one guide. I didn't tell you about her, but she's something else, and she's new. And she looks like she's been through the ringer, and she won't tolerate any sort of negative self-talk. So if I get down in the dumps about something, she pops up in my dream with a really big attitude. She's kind of on the intimidating side, but she was in this one that I had with suitcases floating in on the water, and she's yelling at me mid-dream, and I'm just like, I can't take any of this anymore. I need to get up. And I started screaming, and my husband wakes me up, with the question, where'd you go? What were you doing? Who was there? And so that's great, because you have to have support.
Yeah.
When you're this nuts.
Definitely you were guided and blessed to have that support.
I am.
It's not that easy.
Well, there's a long time. No, there's a long time I kept it all in my head. I didn't tell anybody. And one day I just told him, I was like, honey, I think I'm getting abducted by aliens. And then it was like, nope, now I know. I'm going to space. Sorry. If you wake up and I'm not here, I'm in space. Just wait for me to get back. But
one of the comments, Jima wants you to describe the Pleiadians, or who you're seeing that are teaching you again.
Okay, so they're very tall, and I'm 6 foot tall. Their body wise, they seem lean, athletic. They're blonde hair, brown hair. I've seen white skinned or Caucasian looking, and then also not Caucasian. The thing about their skin, though, is that it's absolutely beautiful. It doesn't matter what color it comes in. You don't see a pore. There's one, and I in my head, I call her Lillian. That's just what I call her. She's the first one I remember seeing, and she has dark hair, and it's short, and she's got kind of a crooked little smile, and she tells us it's it's okay. And she says, welcome, she had this string. It was just a string in her hand that she would pull like this, but it's like it glowed, and it was like a thread or a string, but it was beautiful. It was like a glowing string. She welcomed everybody, and they're just beautiful. They're really beautiful, and they aren't mean, and they're gentle, but they're firm. There's no attitude. You just
like your firm first grade teacher. If you ain't learning your
Yes.
1 + 2, you go to the box.
Well, if you tell your teacher you don't want to do your homework, you don't get to remember things for a little while. Like that, I got an attitude when I was having issues with real life, and I was just frustrated and tired, and was like, well, I don't want to hear this right now. And I got an attitude and got lippy, and because they were showing me a symbol that, something else. And I just turned my head and I said, you already showed me that. That's as attitudinal as I get, I suppose. But it looked like I was talking to black mercury. Had that look to it, that texture, sort of. It's hard to explain, and so I don't really remember much since the last episode, but I know they're still there, because I will wake up and feel like I have to go outside. Just at 2:00 in the morning, have to go outside, and I'll go outside and something will go across the sky. And my house is right underneath the Milky Way, and you can see it perfectly. It's just gorgeous. So yeah, that's what they look like.
Dima also is asking if you feel when you see them, if they're a real physical look like down here, or is it more translucent, or you feel like it's a real body or just a figment of a body?
I would say they're iridescent. Sort of, they have some, but I don't know if that's just their skin. They kind of have or if it's just how I see things up there, they seem to have a shine to them. Whether they are a physical body, I don't know if my whole body is being taken up there, but I know that I feel things with like my body when I'm there. I can feel the texture of the glass, and I can feel like when I was sitting with those two boys at the table, I could feel both of their hands under mine. So I don't know if they are just it's a projection and they're just taking my consciousness, or if they're taking my whole body. I really have no idea, but I see them as absolutely solid. They're completely solid. They interact with each other, with us.
That's similar to my vision that the picture I've been put in my head is that their skin and whatnot is kind of translucent.
It's
or very shiny,
like an opal something that kind of like there's something.
It almost looks. Does it look reflecting?
Yeah.
Like not like a mirror, but
like the steam off.
Light would bounce off.
Yeah, like mirage-y. Like you might just prismy. I don't know how else to explain them. They would stand out on Earth for sure.
Yeah,
if you saw one on the street or in Walmart, you would know that they are not normal, just because they're so beautiful, and then that skin, the thing that they give off. Yeah, they're not like other people for sure. But I don't know where they're from. I have no idea. I assume it's the pleiadian, the ones I can't say, or the other ones that you talked about. Venusians? Was it Venus?
Well, the two that I feel are very loving and giving to Earth are it's ACROM.
Andromedians.
Yeah.
Yeah. Say it.
Them and the Pleiadians are very loving and helping towards Earth, but it feels like the Pleiadian energies are dominant.
Okay.
Now,
Yeah.
my guides have told me there's basically 5 different ones.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they've told me anyway. I mean, it's not like, you have multiple, 20, 30, 40 different types, but in a sense, there's basically 5.
The ones that are interacting.
That are interacting. You have the grays, you have pleiadians, acromedians. I can't remember right now.
Do you remember?
I had them written down, but
there's
a lot of them are kind of going away. I mean, the grays also were kind of mischief ones, like the reptilians also.
I wonder if the grays are like sent from something out, like like little automatons. I don't know if they who were they working for. I don't know if they were their own consciousness, or I can't even get a read on them at all. Even when I look at my cards and stuff like that, I can't on the phrase.
Belinda, yes, Nordics was another one.
Mm-hmm.
Acturians are also. So yeah, maybe it was Acturians. I think the Nordics are kind of combined with another, was what I was being told.
That would fit with the Andromedians.
Right.
I'm trying to say that right. There was that in the 40s, Valiant Thor. Do you know that story?
No, I haven't heard that one.
Okay, Valiant Thor. He supposedly came, and I don't remember which planet it was from. You can read this afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
But he supposedly came down to help us, him and a female of their kind, and they've got pictures of him. And that's the story, is that he was down on Earth and he comes and goes still from Earth, and is in league with our government and other governments to sort of help things. But I don't know how much good he's doing these days. Maybe he hasn't been here in a minute. Come back.
Yeah, I mean, the stories you hear about these grays, they're the ones you would, let's say, like that movie Signs, they're the ones you would see in the cornfields,
Yes.
and they would pop up. They're little short ones, like
the
4 or
little
5
guy,
feet
the little guy. Yeah.
They're the ones you'll see a lot of pictures of, and they were mischievous. I wasn't really getting they were. Well, I am now hearing that they did do some abductions, but they weren't the medical types like the reptilians were.
Yeah.
They would do. I was feeling like they would do like experiments, but they wouldn't go that in depth. They were just kind of curious.
Okay.
But these reptilian ones were the ones that were trying to make humanoids and combine DNA and all that stuff. That's what I was getting anyway.
Scary fellas.
Yes.
I've never heard a single good story about him either. Everyone I've ever heard, they talk about him being terrifying, and that's exactly how I felt about them.
And the readings and the senses I've gotten, but they've been banned by the you say it better.
Andromedians.
Andromedians, yeah.
Andromedians.
Andromedians feel like they're one of the older culture ones. Do you get that sense? I feel like they're very, very old, like billion year old.
Yeah.
And they feel like they're gonna get wiped out, or not really wiped out, but phased out per se. But they feel very knowledgeable, and to me, the Pleiadians are taking over for the Earth consciousness and the vibrations and moving us forward.
When I get into it and start, looking around, I get that there's a dominant, and that would probably be the ones that I'm going with, the Pleiadians. And then there's just sort of lesser one, not to call them lesser, it doesn't mean they're any less important, but they're not as dominant down here on Earth.
Right.
They're not as influential. Like, they've decided that they're going to take it up and they're going to do the work and they're going to be the ones in charge, the Pleiadians.
Right. Well, as
And
you were saying that, I was getting like, you know, you had the bee colonies. I was getting worker bees.
yes, worker bees. Just
They're the worker bees.
yeah, totally.
But
So,
you know, the Pleiadians are working on our consciousness, you know, and working with angels.
well, and that makes sense, because since I started going with them, pooh, everything is opened up in my head. So
what grade do you think you're at when you go? When you're studying, you in 7th grade, middle school, or you?
I'm in
high
whatever
school
grade they let you wear your clothes for the whole class. I am out of the white gown and I am on to helping people, but I don't know how far into my school I am. I would say, I'm not going to overestimate it, I would say 3rd grade.
Really?
Yeah.
Long
Just
way to go.
long way to go. Long way to go.
When's your last recollection when you went to learning school?
It's probably been about 8 months.
8 months?
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
So that would be what? Oh, March?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Probably about that.
About
Usually,
March when the COVID hit really bad?
yeah. Well, and my dreams started picking up then too. So it's entirely possible that I'm going and just not remembering the actual trip. So, I'm going places and I'm seeing people and doing things. I'm interacting with in different, it's the weirdest thing anymore. I interact with people and I have people coming into my dreams, and then I'm talking to them and telling them things about themselves, and then I wake up. I don't know if I'm going or not, because I'm having interactions with people. I'm having interactions with faces, and you can't make up faces. Like, your brain can't make up faces. I know that because I did some research. I'm like, how am I seeing these faces and knowing what people look like when I've never met them before? And so there's different people there, but it's always the same people. And then the visitors that come in and talk to me are usually people from my own life. And this makes no sense at all. I know it makes no sense at all, but I feel like I'm being taken places to tell people things and help them. It's like an astral travel kind of work. That's the only way I know how to explain it, is that I'm answering questions in my sleep for people in my actual life. And then in the morning I wake up and I get a hold of them and they're like, oh, well, yeah, I was wondering about this, or I was wondering about that, or I had this dream and I had that dream. Well, not to be crazy, but here's your crazy friend. And I had this dream and it's a boy and it's going to be fine. And that actually happened. And yeah, it's just gotten weirder and weirder. So I don't know if I'm being taken. I don't know if they're coming to me. I know that I'm astral.
That's what it feels like. You're astral traveling for your circle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. My daughter, she's got 3 kids, and her daughter brings her brothers to me. And so I told my daughter, I said, your daughter is traveling and you should know that. Because I used to do it when I was a kid and nobody knew what was wrong with me. They just thought I was special, and they held me back in school. And they wanted to send me to like a special little hospital and all that. And my dad told them, no, she's fine. She just takes vacations. She'll be back. You just leave her alone. And I would leave my whole body and go places and just not come back until later. And I'd wake up in whole other houses or come to in whole other houses. I wouldn't go to sleep. I'd just sit there, and I ran high fevers sometimes. And it wasn't until I got control of it and just stopped kind of leaving so I could stay in school. But it wasn't, I didn't do it on my own. It would be triggered. Like I told you, I think that I think I was like undiagnosed, sort of on the autism spectrum, maybe like some touch of Asperger's or whatever, but not making light of it. But everything was overwhelming, sensory, lights, sounds in the morning. Everything was just always too much to people. Touching, when I was a little kid, if you touched me, sometimes it'd be too much. And I just, nope, I'm gone. And I would leave, and I would go to with the woodworker. I told you about the woodworker.
Right. Yeah.
And I would just go, and I would go to this shed, and it was a shed, and there was a man in there, and he was young, and I would just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk until I was ready to go back. And he would listen to every word I said, and it was peaceful there, and the light beaming in from outside. I don't know where I was, but it was just so much light. And I thought that he had blonde hair for the longest time, but it wasn't it was the light bouncing off of his hair. And I would go see him. And then when I was feeling better, I would go back home. And that was my astral traveling. When I was a little kid, I would just go there and other places, but usually with him.
Yeah. It was definitely a blessing for you to have a father that was intuitively gifted.
He was incredibly gifted. I mean, he saw scary stuff, but he understood me really well. And he knew that if he just let me be, I was going to be okay. I was just, there wasn't anything wrong with me. I just had an overly developed escape mechanism. It's like, eject. We're not going to do this anymore. It was too much. And so, yeah, and he always knew when things weren't right, like the cat that I told you about, and he knew he just knew that things were right and things were wrong. It was like he could push his senses out and know when things were right and wrong, or good or bad. And he was phenomenal. Very, very gifted. But
it's a lot of the same things helping out my daughters.
Yeah.
To make them aware of what's actually going on when strangeness occurs, or one's having dreams or whatever, because their mother is not spiritual. She's not that type,
Right.
So they come to me, when weird things happens, to try to understand what's going on and whatnot. So it's definitely a gift to have someone on your back, to be there and understand.
And my dad's whole side of the family was that way. We went to have breakfast with my aunties one time, and they were 15 years older than my dad, so they were into their 70s by the time he passed. And sitting there with my Aunt Catherine one day, and there's a full table, and my poor husband didn't know anything about this, but my aunt, she said she had an eyeball that followed her around. And I mean, I don't know if this was true or not, but she said it was like a disembodied eyeball, and she called it the eye of God. And we're sitting there at breakfast one time, and my husband's trying to eat. My dad's been dead for several years, and my Aunt Catherine busts out with, "Well, I talked to your father last night." And she said she had an hours-long conversation with him, and blah, 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 laid out all these things. And my husband's sitting there with like sausage on his fork, like, what the hell is going on around here? Because everybody was listening and like, oh, yeah, because that was just general, that was normal. Very, very normal. Very normal for my family. Talk to your father. But
not a strange store down at the old what do you call it, the grocery store, whatever. It's about who you talk to the night before.
Yeah.
From there.
Yeah, it was a little weird, and they're all gone now, but I think it's great. When I doubt myself, I just remember all of that, and I'm like, hey, it's okay. The whole family's this way. It's all right.
It's a very good thing to have that acceptance. Otherwise it could be a struggle.
Well,
there's not that many that are awoke.
No, it's
and
lonely.
understand.
Yeah, you feel lonely. definitely. When it first started and I was trying to figure it out all by myself, and this last several years or 5 years or so, until I started talking about it, I was just like, I'm never going to figure this out. This doesn't make any sense to me. And then I started when you start talking about things and putting it out there, what you want to know and your intention, I feel like the universe hears you, and then it will send people your way, or you'll find people who can explain things. And that's kind of how I ended up right here.
Pretty much,
Yeah.
Like when I was talking to you about my initial dream, when I started getting the visions and knowing things, I'm like, what's going on? Well, then I was given a dream by my guide, and I was explaining that, well, the lovely community hasn't heard this one, so I'll say it again.
Okay.
It was the dream where I was shown who my guides were. And I was brought into this roller rink that I used to go as a kid or a teenager. We used to meet up with friends, we'd skate, it's in a circle. But I was drawn up to like a platform or a different area with steps overseeing this rink.
Okay.
And it was kind of like a little waterfall and some rocks and beautiful flowers in a sitting area. So I was told to sit down, and then I have these two beautiful looking angels kind of looking, and they showed me the pictures of, I told you, the Charlie's Angels, Kate Jackson and Sarah Fawcett.
Yeah.
So that was the picture they gave me of themselves as those two. Similar.
It could be worse.
Right. So it's something I grew up through. So I feel like it was like a similarity to feel comfortable,
right.
from them, but they look like angels, the flowing wings and the bright colors and the white gowns and whatever,
Yeah.
So I had a little conversation in that dream, and they said, look down at the roller rink. So when I look down, I see my teachers from school, my basketball coaches, people that I've met that have taught me things. And then there's also different people in this roller rink that I have never met before. And what I was told, you'll go through a circle of life. You will learn, meet people, and then they go away.
Okay.
Right? And then you're going on this roller rink again. All of a sudden, oh, here is this person here. They will teach you something. You will learn something, and then they'll go away.
Oh, yeah.
The circle of life is what I was saying. You're going to continually learn.
Yes.
And then their mission's complete, and then they go away.
Yeah. And then you take what you learn and
give it to another.
Yep. Exactly.
And now with your learning, you have these contacts, you have your traveling, you're learning, and you're sharing,
Yeah.
And within this YouTube community, also I'm meeting more, bringing more people into my life, contacts, and it's like, I've seen you for many months on my channel, community, and then all of a sudden you mentioned something about mystery theater or something. I'm like, oh my God, I want to talk to that. I want to talk to that girl.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
I'm excited.
Your story and your experiences are incredible, and that you haven't been harmed in essence, but you've been protected.
I have. I feel like I have. Something stepped in and intervened a long time. And
because I think it has to do a lot with when you were born and your timing.
Okay.
Like with the other fine lady, who's also in the community, I did the live with Kim Song. She was taken and she lost limbs.
Yes.
And ovaries and whatnot, so, but that was a different time frame,
Right.
She was born in the 50s. This is time frame when she was coming up that they were doing this, these reptilians and whatnot. Well,
Yeah.
you're younger. You're,
Mm-hmm.
what do you say, 43?
Yep, 43.
You're in the 70s.
Yep.
So you're in that transfer phase of when the Pleiadians and those others stepped in
Started stepping
and
in.
saying, we ain't having them. We're
Yeah.
protecting these ones.
Mm.
We're protecting these ones for that brighter future.
I kind of feel like they, not to, it's almost like they wanted to, they stepped in and just, I mean, I'm still going, but it's not terrifying anymore and it's not scary and there's a bigger purpose to it. So like, I wonder, do they take all of the people that the reptilians took and abducted and everything else? And, you know, do we have implants somehow? How did they find us in the first place? Except that I know they operate on a whole other level and finding people isn't probably difficult for them at all. I think it's weird that you can be taken by two completely different species, you know, and have all these things happen to you and be done and have such completely different experiences with them. But I'm still going. You know, it's just two different groups. And I'm like, how do you end up being a part of that club? I just don't understand. I'll never understand how I ended up being picked to go, or how anybody else gets picked to go, or how I've had experiences with two completely separate groups and energies altogether. Like, I'll never know that. They can't probably ever answer that for me unless like maybe they have and I just don't recall. Because they definitely,
I don't know if I'm accurate or not.
Mm-hmm.
What my guides tell me is that it's your soul contract.
Okay.
You know, after you pass from your previous life,
Yeah.
you're approached with different options. You
Right.
know, and your soul says, "Sure, I'll meet aliens my next life, or whatnot." You know,
fun. I'm gonna try this.
But you don't, and a lot has to do with the DNA and your evolvement too. Because what I was sensing is that they don't want people that aren't spiritually evolved. Per se, they want go get one of these Trump lovers, you know, that drives a flag and wants to tote guns. No, that's not the spiritual human.
I don't feel like they'd be the fit. They wouldn't be the fit for them.
It wouldn't be the fit, you know.
Yeah.
So they want these spiritually evolved people that can learn and grow. And like in your case, they stepped in, the good ones, you know, at the right timing, you know, per se. And the same happened with Kim Song. They stepped in to help her, and she's been blessed throughout her life. What she went through.
The restart of going with them, I do believe, kind of, you know, my dreams and everything kicked up when my dad passed away. So I think that was something that my brain kind of broke, I guess, and I was looking for, I guess, calling for help in any direction. That they picked up on that. I've always thought that might be a thing. I don't know if that's it, like you send out the back signal or what, you know, in your contract or before you come in, what's the catalyst that's going to be like, hey, she's ready. She's an open wound. Let's get her. we're going to teach her this and that, and she's going to evolve and it's going to hurt, but she's going to do it. I'm better.
What year did your father pass?
It was 2004.
Okay. So he was there to ease the process, I'm feeling.
He taught me how to dream. After he died, I'd always had dreams, but suddenly he was showing up in them. And the first one, it was amazing. He showed up and he brought space with him. That's what he said. I brought the sky with me. And I'm like, what? You're really here? And I could smell him. And my daughter in the dream walked in the room and he said, send her away. She's not really here. And that was like goosebumps. To this day, he would have never done that. She was his absolute favorite in the world. I was like, you're really here. This is happening, isn't it? He said, yes, now you have to watch. And I don't think I told you about this, but over the course of this dream, he's showing me colors I have never seen. I don't have names to this day for these colors in my head. And he said, now pay attention. And I'm watching the sky or the ceiling in the dream, and something shoots across, looks like a meteor shooting across the sky, right? So I'm like, wow. He says, now don't forget that. And then I'm like, oh, I won't. And he's got to go, and I wake up my husband. I'm like, oh my God, Hap was here, and he brought the sky, and he showed me a comet. And I mean, I was just rattling on. And so he gets up, and I get up, and I turn on the TV, and it was like an hour before that, the news cameras everywhere, and you know, our area picked up a meteor streaking across the sky, and it got picked up on the camera, and that was his validation that he was really there with me. He was there. There was a comet. It had happened the hour before. He made sure I paid attention to it, and I knew that was him. And from then on, he taught me how to dream. And I just, as soon as I saw him in a crowd, everything else would fall away. And he's taken me places. I'm pretty sure he took me, I'm out in the weeds. I told you I wouldn't do this. Getting out in the weeds. But in one dream, you know, I'm pretty sure he showed me Atlantis. And he told me to remember it. And I can still feel the railing I was holding under my hand, the feel, the texture of it. And I've seen all these things. He opened that door, and then I started getting my story that I think is probably from that Metatron or wherever. You know, he died, the door closed, but the window stayed open. And now it's a giant bay window. It's wide open to everything. And yeah, it was after that, I think that I was just wide open for whatever. And they probably, after a few more, you know, life traumas, they decided, hey, let's go get her. See what she wants to learn. See what else she wants to learn today. So now I know there's shapeshifters and space, and all kinds of things in the sky. So
yeah, it's crazy how they're still around. It feels like they're not around as much anymore, but it feels like these shapeshifters, they would what do you call it? Like attached to their souls.
yeah.
You know, like it's not like they were who they were, but they were like, I can't remember the word right now. You know, but
yeah.
they would enter their body kind of thing.
Gotcha.
And be part of them.
Yeah.
You know, I shared a video with you, you know, where George Bush and Jenna Bush was talking, and all of a sudden her face started shifting into like a lizard person, you know. So it's like, to me, it doesn't feel like they're attached always. It just feels like a kind of controlling, but they're there, but go. It's almost, I'm trying to think of that
like
word.
An entity.
Yeah, it's an entity, but not like an abduction, but it's, you know, they combine souls.
Incubus, succubus? No, that's a whole other animal.
That's an whole other animal. No.
That's a whole other animal. I think I know what you're talking about, though. I don't remember the name, though.
It doesn't totally feel evil, but
yeah,
it's like they attach or combine souls to kind of control, but give guidance in the ways. But
yeah,
because like when Jenna Bush was doing that, she's talking about, you know, her projects and giving, and all of a sudden she starts changing. It's like, whoa, you know.
Yeah. Well, and I've seen, you know, they catch people's eyes doing a shift every now and then. That's some creepy stuff.
Look reptilian or something. That's
yeah. And so are those like the bad guys? Like the girl that I saw when I was up with them, she wasn't bad. I didn't get a negative feeling from her, but then again, your feelings up there are flatlined. You don't get upset. You don't get, I mean, nothing is a shock. Like you could see a dinosaur coming for you and you're just like, oh, it's a dinosaur. You know, it's like there's a dampener. It's a dampener. And I think that's just to keep us calm. Because if I wake up in space, I'm going to be so happy. I'm going to ask so many questions. So they're like, shut up, Beth. We're just going to turn your volume down. And then, you know, so I guess I really couldn't say if she was good or bad, but she said there were lots of them down here, meaning Earth. And who knows, she could have been an unpleasant one or not, but I'd like to think that she wasn't. But I guess it really happened. Yeah.
My senses are they aren't. Not
Okay.
now.
Yeah. And she wasn't big like but if she was a shapeshifter, she was projecting human, not. She showed several other faces. So, and I wasn't the least.
It feels like they're like in a translucent background. It's almost like you're being guided by an angel, or like per se. Sometimes my videos, when my spirits are around, they'll change the screen to be a little bit blurry because it's so intense.
Right. Okay.
And there's been a few times I just go, okay, that's enough, go away, and then the screen comes back perfect. You know.
Right.
It's
a little bit much.
It's more intense. It's more intense than like an orb you might see fly by. You know, they're like right here, and all of a sudden my screen goes blurry. I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, okay, you can go now, and then it goes right back. You know,
just wait
but
for the phone.
I was getting there was like this war going on because you know the Pleiadians and the Andromedans, whatever. You know, still haven't figured that out. They banished these reptilians and these grays that are doing evil. Because that's not what it was meant to be, you know.
Yeah.
We want Earth to evolve. We want Earth and the humans to be better, you know.
Yeah, to not
our soul conscious to be awake.
Right.
And a shift into like a Atlantis type society.
We're more concerned about the other and not so much about the self.
Right.
Yeah. The minute people start helping each other, things will get better. But I don't know if that's.
It'll take a while.
It's going to take a. Oh no.
I do have another reading planned.
Okay.
Something I was getting at some point when I get to it, but it has to do with this shift. And what I was getting is that it's going to start in like 2022.
Okay.
You know, like next year's going to be the healing part, getting things in order.
Yeah.
And then, you know, then for the next 10 years leading up to 232, the gradual growth, the gradual awakening of more and more people, you know, to get in this better place.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's something's got to give at some point. There's so many, the will from outside of the earth, you know, what the universe wants from us and everything else is so many good things can happen if we just get the energy right and stop all the extra garbage that's going on out there. And what I do think that once Trump is gone, God willing, that he goes, I think that'll help because, you know, it just spews, it's just trash out of his mouth constantly and it's hate. And people are just soaking it in because people who hate he makes it okay to be that way. You know, we don't talk to 98% of our family anymore because they are so infected with that hate. It's just disgusting. It's disgusting. They're different people. It's like where you used to see little bits and pieces like, all right, you don't need to be talking that way. Just knock it off. You know, now there's no filter. It's just awful. It's hateful. It's racist. It's trash. And it shouldn't be allowed. And so, you know, my husband, he's all about family. And he was like, no, we're not doing that. I'm not having my kids pick that up, and our kids are adults basically, but you don't want your kids to be disappointed because of who you hang around.
Sure.
So even if they're family, and it's got to stop, because the world can't take much more.
Right.
It's break. People
But
are
you
breaking.
want but you want your kids to accept everyone for who they are.
Yeah.
Accept. I was at the delivery stop, and the butcher there is Mexican, little English, and we were chatting a little bit, and always very friendly with him, and really good guy, but he wasn't speaking English, and he's like kind of sad about all the closings of restaurants and whatnot because of that, and he asked the question, and he goes, because he was kind of confused about the election. And he goes, is Biden gonna win or Trump gonna win? I go, no worries, Trump's a clown, we got this. And he goes, oh good, thank you. And it's just like you meet these people, and it's like they just want happy, good life, and they're good people.
They just want to have a life like anybody else. And he talks about the suburbs and housing, and I have lived in housing, and I was grateful for the housing, and I loved all, our little community was fine. There weren't bad people in them, and now I have a house, and I wouldn't have a single problem with people from housing living in my neighborhood, because everybody starts somewhere, and you're grateful for a home, just whether it's in housing or not, low income housing or not. The hate for poor people is just so disgusting. It makes me sick. I'm a suburban housewife, and I hate Donald Trump. Or I dislike him strongly. I don't hate people, but he's working his way up to being the first person I've hated in a long time.
Right. Myself also, I do not like to use that word, but
no, I don't. It's a strong word, and I really always try to see why people do things and understand. Like I get why people do the things that they do, and I can do that without investing my feelings in it, but not him. I kind of just really don't like him. I feel all the way about that. Just everything about him just rubs me wrong. So
we know he's a bad man, and
malignant. It's malignant. That's how I wrote him in my story, and as a destroyer way back when too. So it's just weird that now he's president and he's doing exactly what he did in my story. So it's
same
strange.
Thing he's done his whole life. Yes.
Yeah. And so
he denigrated black people for his rentals. He put that ad out for the Black the Central Park 5 and all this.
And
he continued here with his rhetoric. It's just,
when I try to take a look at his karma, even if I think about it, because you're start kind of, you can't help it when you start doing that kind of a thing. If you start looking and feeling around, and the minute I start thinking about his karma, I get sick to my stomach. It's like a real actual sick feeling. So he's got a lot of bad karma, is how I feel. And I'd like to see him get it all in this life, where we can watch. But, I just want him to get what he deserves, get what he has coming to him. He deserves it, every single bit of it. And
I think it will too.
Yeah. Like, I don't wish him COVID. I don't wish him to die. I just wish he gets exactly what he's got coming to him, just like I do with Junior and Ivanka and the whole group. They just give them what they deserve. So
this whole Trump conspiracy is worldwide. And,
yeah.
because they're talking about money laundering. They're talking about kids. You know, 45 had his modeling agencies and his pageants,
and well, they're saying that Putin, that Trump's got, part of what Putin's got on him is that he's got a child over in Russia, and it was with like a 12, 13-year-old who got pregnant with Trump's baby, and
really,
yeah, from an assault or a child prostitution, but that would be an assault either way. It doesn't matter how you look at it. And Trump's standing order for these girls was that if they got pregnant, they were to have an abortion. All of the girls. And this one didn't, because she was in Russia and out of his hands. And so I kind of think that's part of what Russia's got on him. But I don't know how it would matter over here, because nothing seems to matter anymore.
I know, right? But you'll say it's fake news. I don't have a kid. Give me your DNA. Oh, I don't have to give my DNA.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Married or not? E. Jean Carroll. She has got him.
Yeah, he's done.
By the cojones. Is the minute he's out of office, because he's lost every appeal to not turn over the DNA.
That one's a done deal.
I can't wait for her to get him. She's got moxie.
And a lot of others.
Yes.
The one reading I did on 45 and other kids, I was getting there's two.
Okay.
One is overseas, and the other one was from what I was getting is a immigrant housekeeper he raped.
And he supposedly paid off a doorman about a housekeeper's pregnancy. Ooh.
I just read about that maybe a month ago, but my reading I did was 6, 7, 8 months ago. And I was getting there's two. One was overseas, and the other one was a housekeeper, maybe at Mar-a-Lago or something, but it was an immigrant woman. She kept the kid. And that was the other one. So yeah.
He's got them out there. They're out there.
Mm-hmm. He couldn't have them all aborted.
Well, because women have choices and options, and we don't always do as told. And
depends if they can get away. That's the big thing in that kind of situation.
Yeah.
It's so unfortunate, but they have life. He did slowly pay him, so
if he's paying them off, hopefully at least he supported them in one way or another, and they never knew he was their father. I would be horrified to find that out. This would be terrible. I have hope for that youngest kid of his, though, because he doesn't seem like he's happy to be part of it all. His youngest. Yeah, I don't read on kids, but I do hope he'll turn out okay. He just looks so sad all the time. But a lot of teenagers look sad all the time. But if your dad was Donald Trump, oh my God, I couldn't even imagine. You could get away with a lot.
Feels like he's kind of special, like maybe like autistic or something like that.
Yeah, he's very. He's got a likeness to him.
Yeah, he's not like his father. I don't get that at all.
I'm hoping not. I don't think he had a lot of input raising any of his children, except to make them love-hungry, desperate individuals.
I got it open.
You got to do duty.
I got it.
Thank you.
Yay.
You're welcome. Man's work's never done.
No, I just had mine open a jar the other day. After I was in there beating on it with a knife. I'm like, I'll get this myself.
They had those Pampered Chef things that are grippies, and you just put it on there. It's like nothing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm gonna prefer to beat on my jar. Just hand it to my husband. I can't just do something easy, like get something to make easy to open. It's hard. Got to make it complicated. So.
I forgot, what was your son's first experiences and how they were accepting?
My younger boy, he had he used to call them his other eyes. So he would see things, but he'd say, I see them with my other eyes. So
that's right.
Yeah. What he would see was people in his room. He had what he called twisty leg. Twisty legs was we're in a logging town, and we used to live in a house that was in a stop where they used to bring the injured men down from the mountains. And a lot of times they died back in the late 1900s. And my youngest said he had a weird hat, which now I know was a hard hat, the tin sort of hard hat, and his legs were just bent and broken looking. And he said Twisty Legs was always watching him when he slept, unless the woman in the rocking chair without a rocking chair was there watching him sleep. And he said she just rocked back and forth like she was in a chair, and she had a great big dress, and she just looked at him. He said she looked like you, Mom. She had glasses, but she looked a little different, but she looked like you, but her glasses were different. And he's seen a man in the hallway, and we were in this abandoned property by our house, and I walked into the yard, and it's an old brothel, right? An old boarding house or an old brothel, and he would see things in the windows there. And I walked up to the porch one day. He starts yelling at me, Mom, come here, let's go. I'm like, what's wrong? He's like, let's go. And he was only about 8 at the time. And so I turn around and we leave, and we get home. I was like, you got to tell me what that was about. And he said, she was about to touch your hair. And I said, who she? He said, the woman who cries on the porch. She misses her children, and she cries on the porch, and she didn't want you there. But then I called you Mom, and she went back to the porch. So because I was his mother, she left me alone. Oh my God, it still gives me the chills, because he said that she was reaching for me. Like she'd come off the porch and she was going for me. And he called me Mom, and she turned around and went back to her perch and went back to crying. And she just didn't want me there. And yeah, he's seen these things. He doesn't so much anymore, but he's almost 18 and isn't, I don't think, as open as he used to be to it, but he remembers that he used to see these things, and he will talk to me about them now and then, that it used to happen. And because he knows I've seen things in our house, because I've got the little boy here, and he's the one. I called them in to go to bed, and I've only got 2 kids, but 3 of them ran around the corner, or 2 boys, but 3 of them ran around the corner. And he was blonde, and he runs right around the corner, and I see him and he sees me, and it was almost like whoops, and he just was just gone. But I know he's happy here. He likes it here, and I've had dreams about him. He loved his mother very much. He's very scared of fire, and he just likes it in my house. He's not from this time. The house he lived in had dark wood walls. That's all I know. Inside, like mahogany looking walls, like wood paneling, like a old style gothic-y looking place. But yeah,
it feels like 1840ish to me.
Yep.
Something like that.
Yeah, I can see the dress of the mother. She's giving him a plate of food, and I can see her dress, and it's very dark, but he's very loved. Like the surroundings are dark, but I think that's just the surroundings. There's candlelight. I can see it crystal clear, clear day, and he's happy, but he's terrified of fire. I know that. It's very scared.
Maybe he died in a fire.
I kind of
or something like that.
Yeah, I kind of think that's what happened, and I think it had to do with like cooking or a stove or grease. That's the feeling I get, and like when I say that, I feel like I'm being hugged inside, and so that tells me I'm right, and then I get the goosebumps. So it's like that's his way, and I know that I'm in my upstairs, sort of in my attic, and that's where he likes to stay, is upstairs. So he's probably just up here listening to us. My sweet little unaging child. It's like here. So.
Yeah, that happened to the same thing with my daughters. Growing up from from when my ex-wife and I separated, so that would be like 7 or 8ish, until they were 16ish. So they had those 10 years or so of seeing things.
Yes.
So once they got, basically when they
got their period and became women,
Yeah.
it kind of went away.
Yeah. As soon as mine,
So they
about
get this
13.
break, because then they go to college and they got to learn things. And so now my oldest is 25, and she's starting to get dreams and see things and feel things again.
Oh, nice.
So she had 10 years of seeing things, and now she had that break to go through life. She's got her man, the one she's going to marry, things are cool, settled down.
Yeah.
And now she's starting to get those senses again. So
that's what happened to me. It all kind of quieted down while I was having kids and getting married and doing all of that stuff and working, and then it just picked back up with a vengeance.
With a vengeance. And traveling.
And traveling. Lots of travel.
Free travel, which is a good thing, right?
Haven't left the state in a really long time, but I've been off the planet.
Well, at least you don't wake up in the morning with a $2,000 bill.
Well, I mean, there's that. I mean, let's hope they feed me while I'm there, because I do like to eat if I'm on a trip.
Excuse me, Beth, we have a space shuttle bill here.
Yeah. So I'm lucky.
Very lucky.
For anything. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I feel like I'm very blessed, and I'm excited to go again every time. Whenever I wake up, I'm happy if I have a memory of being there. Or
it's like free college.
No, it is. It's like sometimes I wake up with words in my head, and then I know things are going to happen and things are going to come, and I get so much information in my sleep. It is just unbelievable. I travel more than when I'm awake, and I talk to more people than I'm awake. It's wonderful. So I wouldn't trade it, and I'm just glad that they're nice now. And that's just, I've decided that my religion, some people they go to church, and I used to go to church because I was raised Catholic, even though my dad always said, that doesn't make sense, does it? I'd be like, no, it doesn't. Why is this the way that is? And he'd be like, I don't know. You should figure that out. Like, you're no help. But I never felt that thing, that they talk about, that thing, like, whoa, the skies open up and the angels are singing, and suddenly there's something there. I never had that until I started talking to trees and seeing weird things, and I'm always by myself when it happens, but I know that that's my connection to the universe. Nobody can tell me that there's not a higher power, because I've seen it and I've felt it, and I've had the most bizarre things happen. So my religion is just the weird these days. I'm a full-time believer.
Well, that's my senses too.
Yeah.
Religion isn't about one thing. It's about our spirituality and what's out there.
Yeah, and how we can develop it. And the more you develop it, the more you learn, the more is sent to you. The second you start out on this whole path, it's like the doors open, and it comes to you because it wants to. The gods want us to be better, and the minute into it, they're like, here, take all of this information right now. Take all of this information. Then be really confused for like 3 years. Then we're going to give you more information. And you're going to have to figure that out too. And if you can hang with us, it's going to get even harder, but you'll be happy. So, there's nothing easy about it, but
of course not.
It's wonderful, because then you just have this knowing about things, and it's the best thing in the world.
Oh yeah, definitely. That knowing is incredible.
Yeah.
I mean,
that I can pick up
when you're walking around as an average person and you don't connect with your spirit guides or anything else,
like being lost.
You search for something.
Yes.
Because you don't know where you belong and what you search to. So, the normal person would go to church, and read the Bible, sing the hymns, listen to the sermon. I've never in my life gotten that wanting or need for church. You know, I'd
Never
go,
had.
you know, I'd donate, you know, and listen, but there was never this connection. But when
Mhm.
you hear your spirit guides or you get those visions of the other side, or
Yeah.
you're seeing these cubicles of learning or whatever it is, you know,
Mhm.
the knowing is a greater love than a church sermon.
So yeah, honestly, you can't stand at a church and tell me about all these things, you know, that they talk about, because I don't know anything about that. You know what I mean? What
Mhm.
I know is what I know. And that is
Right.
nothing that I'm going to pick up from someone preaching to me from the front of a room. That will never work for me ever, because I know so much else that's been shown and taught to me this way. And like, you don't get a certificate for it or anything, or anything like that, but eventually you get better at what you're doing. That's how I feel. And I think that's a perfect kind of faith to have. I don't know anything about what's going on, but I'm trying. I'm learning. I'm 43 and I'm
All
learning.
we can do is continue to learn.
No, if you stop learning, what's the point?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's why I'm only an alien third grader. I'm
Alien
an
theory.
alien life third grader. I still got lots of classes to go.
I mean, I learn it with every conversation, with every YouTube video I watch. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that's the right hit, you know. And other times I'm learning that no, that's not right. You know,
Well,
you get
I
your
can watch.
senses, you know, you get your senses and your hits from everything you do.
Yeah, and I watch videos, I'll watch other readers and I'll have questions in my head, and suddenly they will say that, you or Sheila or Andrea or Amy or whoever I happen to be watching. So, you might be reading on something else, but you don't know when that's going to make perfect sense for someone who's watching right then and there.
Mhm.
And they're like, that's exactly the question I was just thinking of, but that person asked it. And so the it's the whole circle thing. It's, the knowledge and caring about others, it just keeps going, and everybody learns. You can learn from just listening to other people have conversations that you're not even involved with, because you don't know
Mhm.
where an answer is going to come from.
Right. It could come
Or
from
who.
come from comments. Someone else
Oh,
sharing their
yeah.
own.
Totally, because that's happened. Oh, hey, that makes total sense. I know what that means. Like the Kim Song, in her interview, a lot of what she said made sense, to me about, when she was going. And though, she said she felt a lot of loneliness and stuff like that. And when I was a kid, I'm the whole, leaving my body and stuff like that. I feel after that, I felt like I was alone. I was always doing these things. The only one who understood was my dad, but I still felt like this really intense loneliness. And that's when I started getting, you start getting visits and everything else, and you're not so alone anymore, I guess. Maybe, I don't know if my brain broke when I was little, but whatever it was. I'm not alone anymore. I'm not lonely. I ended up learning how to keep myself company just fine. And I can tune into 1,000 different noises. I never get bored. Or it's a 3-ring circus up there. Kind of great.
It's like when you go exploring, is your sightings of the ships or lights random, or are you told?
So like I will wake up and feel like I have to go outside. And I'll go outside, and then I know that I'm supposed to look up, and then I will see usually a very slow moving, deliberate light, not a satellite, or several. Like there's been, and that comes from a different part of the sky, but there'll be several different lights. And I was sleeping one night, and my husband comes running into the bedroom. in a panic, and he's like, oh my God, you got to get up. You're going to be so mad if you don't see this. So I go out with him, and I had already seen it before, but, and I don't care what they say about this fleet of satellites that whoever sent across the sky months and months ago, but I don't think that's true. He was seeing what I had seen months ago, which is just dozens and dozens of lights up in the sky. And they were trailing over the far end of the mountain, and they were just dozens of them. And when I saw them, it was back in like March or April. And I'd called my friend, because she's equally as odd as I am, and she only lives a few blocks over. I'm like, you got to go outside. You got to look up. You got to see if I'm seeing this. And she did. And she's like, are these a bunch of little lights coming out of a hole in the sky? I said, yes, that's what I think I'm seeing, because those little lights were coming out of a big black spot where there were no stars. And it was a perfectly clear night. They weren't coming before the black spot, and there was nothing in the black spot. They were only coming after, and they were streaming right over, way, 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 way up in the sky, higher than a plane. And there were dozens of them, dozens and dozens. And it went on for like 15, 20 minutes. And so that's one of I think that was some kind of a fleet. And I know that a lot of people said it was SpaceX or something. I don't think it was. I think that was aliens. But yeah, I'll get like an intense feeling to go outside and look up at the sky, and then I'll see something. Basically, pretty much every time.
Crazy.
Every time. Yeah, if I get that drive to go outside, there will always be a light. Like if I'm out with my dog at night to go to the bathroom, that's different. I'm not always going to see something. And I know that a lot of things are just shooting stars and stuff like that, but they reaffirm to me that they're there all of the time, whether I'm with them or not. It's almost like having something with you, like a big brother, kind of just keep, but in a good way, not like 1984 Big Brother, just like a guardian, just like, hey, we're just kind of here, and yeah, we haven't seen you in a minute, but just so you know, we're still here, we're winking at you, glad you came outside. And it's like being cared for by someone in the sky that's not God. Something that I can touch, I suppose, if I wanted to.
I think one more thing I don't think I've asked or explained. Do you get a sense prior to your traveling? Like a day before, you'll feel vibrations or something. Oh, this might be coming.
So with the bad ones, I used to feel bad, I would be scared. I would feel that, and then I would feel that where I would start feeling like I was getting shocked. I would feel that before it came. That was that was then. And I do notice that it's not like the day before, but it'll be like a week or a month before I start going multiple times. I start feeling I don't know if it makes sense, but like extra psychic. There will be extra coincidences. My energy will feel like it's like wide open, and I feel really affected by everything. And I end up noticing more things around me, synchronicities and that kind of a thing. So there's that kind of a heads up, like everything sort of gets more vibrant for about a week, and then
kind of like a clarity.
Yeah, like a clarity. Like it's almost like get in there and do a dusting and a cleaning before they come down and grab you. They're like, let's get the cobwebs out of there, and then
preparing.
Yes.
It's like, all right.
Yeah, like let's weed all that extra
get you
stuff out.
focused so you can come learn a little bit.
Yeah, that's exactly what it feels like. It's like and you have to focus when you're there, because you're supposed to focus. You're supposed to pay attention to exactly what they're showing you, and don't have an attitude about it. That's the biggest thing I can stress. Otherwise they're like, okay, well, just don't, we're just going to take your memory now. So I want to remember. I like remembering. I like seeing these things, and they are telling me things that are important. So I know that I've got to I know I remember the important stuff. I just don't feel like I've I haven't had any big trips here lately since COVID. Since COVID happened.
Well, it
Yeah,
should be perfect timing, right? You have a little more time.
I'm not doing anything. I mean, I'm here. You can find me anytime. So, yeah, it's good.
Do you feel like energetically healthier prior?
Yes, and after. Well, I might be like confused, and I usually wake up pretty tired, just like I didn't sleep.
Well,
like I'll be.
it's kind of normal. I
Yeah,
mean, even like when I would channel or anyone channels, you get really spiritually tired.
Yeah, and
So
I
you're getting a huge download in the old noggin, so
yeah,
you can understand that tiredness.
Yeah, I get tired, and but then I end up like little things will just, it's like boom, boom, little doors open in my mind, and I end up the whole day just kind of unpacking what I've got, and for the rest of the day, and I love it. I wouldn't change it in a million years. I just wish I could make more sense of it immediately, but it's like a time release is how I feel. They give it to you, and then it releases slowly. It's like a download and then a slow release tablet, and you get more and more and more until the message is gone, and then you have that knowledge, and then you go again, and then they give you more. And yeah, I don't know how it works. It just does.
It just does.
It just does. That's all I got.
Susan Cruzen says the Pleiadians will show themselves in the sky one time if you ask them to. You'll see a face.
Oh, I never heard about that.
Interesting.
Guess I have my Sunday night plans. I'm gonna go out there and
up in the sky. I guess we got to ask one time on one of those clear nights. You see all the stars. Let's try that.
I've got a clear sky today. I think I'll try that tonight and see what happens. Because they know we're talking about them right now, so we'll see how it goes.
So, I would like to see something. I see shooting stars, but
you never know what the shootings. You never know if one of those is just a little bit of something else trying to peek at you.
Could be. I have went out there sometimes, and just ask for a sign of my life if I'm going down, and like, just show me a shooting star, and then all of a sudden, like 20 minutes later, something goes.
Yeah, but you can't discount that. When we ask for signs and we get them, I think like I'm a lot of the time I'm like, well, I asked for that. Of course, why would it happen? That can't be true. Because our 3D brains, we don't want to believe in all that extra stuff. It's hard to get things through our heads, but just accept it, believe it, and be like, yes, this is for me. This was a sign for me. It's just like the boys who I felt compelled to get out of bed, and suddenly there's this in the sky. So never ignore the urge to go outside in the middle of the night and stare at the sky. That's my advice for everybody. You never know what's going to pop out at you.
I always try to say, see the signs, watch for the signs, listen to the signs.
Listen to yourself, listen to the signs, listen. Otherwise they just get belligerent and they get loud.
That's right.
At least mine do.
If you're not listening, some people all of a sudden, if you're not listening, all of a sudden you get a fender bender or something, Here's your wake-up call.
Yes, exactly. Yes, you're absolutely right. And the more you listen, the more open you get, and the more information you get, and the more learning you do, and the more beautiful everything becomes, because there's so much more meaning to it. It's like depth and texture to your whole world. My thought on that.
You're
The better it gets. It makes so much more sense if it's strange and unusual and unpredictable, and there's aliens in the sky and weird animals in the woods and like that.
You're totally correct. I mean, I did a channeling reading, and it was all about
the more you learn here, the more you love, the more you accept, the easier it is once we pass, because you don't have that learning part.
Yeah.
You just go straight to love and a little session. You can come right back if you want.
If you want to.
If you want
I know.
to.
I always say I'm not coming back, but I really like being a person. The more like sometimes I'm just like, this is ridiculous. I'm not doing this anymore. And then I'm thinking, this is beautiful. I'm doing this again and again. So I'm conflicted. I'll have to toss a coin when I get there.
Yeah, you don't really know.
You don't.
You have your senses, you have your, your soul.
Well, and you know what?
Your soul is higher than your mind.
The universe may have other plans for me when I get there. I don't know.
You might turn around and be a spirit guide for someone. You just don't know.
I bet you that might be easier than being a person. Being a people's hard work. But it's probably super hard to be talking to us humans, spirit guide, because we don't listen.
True. But
yeah.
For the most part, the senses I get is that the spirit craves life. The heartbeat. They do want to come back, but it's all about the planning and what you're allowed to do coming back and whatever.
Yeah.
There's been a few times I felt like the soul is so persistent, I want to get back, and the higher self says, no, you're not ready. And finally, like, okay, go right ahead. You'll find out.
We'll figure it out.
And then they go through another life of not so great things.
Yeah. Learning those.
Like Debbie just said, people are stubborn.
Oh, we are
and
so
souls
stubborn.
are stubborn too at times, but
I'm stubborn myself.
Well, we can be stubborn. It's okay. We can be human,
Well, I mean, I used to be a big pushover in life and not have a real, I don't know, pushover. I didn't have a lot to say, like, about much of anything. I just kind of wanted to just, am I existing? Am I doing it right? Like, I just wanted to get along. And several years ago, something changed, and now I got all kinds of opinions and I express them and have all kinds of things to say. And they're all strange. They're all just weird. It's all just weird stuff. But I say it, and I'm lucky because I've attracted a little group of friends who are just as weird as I am, or tolerant, and it's nice. Life is better this way when you just be you. And just, if you're weird, let it out. Other weirds, they'll find you. Other weirds will find you. But they will. You can find your tribe.
Well, unfortunately, my tribe's mostly virtual and text.
Well, I've got about 3 living and who aren't biologically related or married to me. Everyone else, I'm friendly on YouTube these days too. It's been fun. Meet lots of people. Yeah,
it has been, but unfortunately, there's no, like Craig just said, 3D people around me, that to chat with live. It's all virtual, but hey,
that's kind of life right now.
We're in a virtual world, so
we are
right now. At least the smart ones.
At some point, I think, people will be able to get together again and stuff if this virus ever goes away and people are able to be healthy and together again. Fingers crossed. Hoping.
Hopefully next summer.
I'm not going to get the vaccine. Are you?
Probably not.
Yeah, especially the first run. That's just terrifying. I'm nervous.
Well, I mean, the responsible ones are going to do their due diligence, and
that's true. Yeah.
People will be tested. So if a certain percentage pass away,
He's wanting to name that that vaccine Trump vaccine.
What the heck? He
Like,
lost the election. What's that gonna do?
I think people are just trying to appease the child right now, and I don't know why. Like, when my kids acted like that, I go to your room. I'm not going to listen to this anymore. This is ridiculous. You're not a dictator. You're 4. So, someone's got to tell Trump these things at some point, if he'd ever listen.
Oh, people are trying to figure out who you are. You're
Beth
dishonest.
Galactica.
And
I just put Beth there.
Beth doesn't have a YouTube channel.
Yeah,
She's in the
I'm
community.
a watcher.
She's
I'm a
watcher.
lurker and a commenter, but I go by Beth Galactica. Yeah.
Yeah, Beth Galactica.
No channel. Maybe one day is if I ever get better at reading cards and doing this kind of thing, I would do it.
Well, a few things we talked about, you're pretty right on target with what I've gotten.
Yeah.
With your card flops, so
yes.
You seem to have that going on.
Let's hope so.
Well,
no, you do what?
You are very intuitive. We get that.
I'm lucky that I pick up on things, and I'm lucky that because I feel like I'm very gifted and very, very blessed, and I'm very thankful for that. Because I can't imagine not having the sixth sense. I'd be lost. You have no compass. The sixth sense is the one that doesn't ever lead me wrong.
I know, right?
Like, you can walk in a room and it can smell like cookies, but it's going to be a candle. That's always sad. But your sixth sense, if it tells you don't go in that building, you're not going to go in that building. You're going to be making a good move.
There you go.
Yeah.
Trump vaccine, yeah, crazy. Just reading a comment.
Yeah, I can't see the chat.
Lost. Yes, Melissa, I'm sure you have chatted with Beth before. Now they're all commenting, oh, Beth Galactica, I heard that before. Anyway.
I know I have lots of friendly people that I talk to in the chats and the.
Yeah. I'm sure you know, well, Melissa Thompson, she was before.
Yes. Yeah, I've talked to her before.
She's a very intuitive woman.
Yay.
Yep. I'm sure you got a lot of friends now. They know your face who have seen this.
It's me.
Walk like an Egyptian.
Or a really clumsy mountain girl.
in the hills of Washington.
In the hills, that's me. In the trees.
Perfect place to see some sights.
Yep, the sky is brilliant at night. There's not a light around. It's amazing.
I'm sure it is.
Live here forever.
So if you ever have any more insights or want to share another adventure you have,
well, I would love to.
Love to come back and say your next learning experience.
Yes. Yeah, I can.
Awesome.
Oh, we could talk for hours.
Probably.
Yay. Yeah, anytime.
So now, now that I got your phone number, I can annoy you with text messages. And
please do.
Our chats are always fun.
They are, yeah. And I'll get those symbols to you so that you can maybe you can
I'd love to see if I can decode them.
Maybe you can put them in the community. If I had I don't even have a pen right now, but if maybe you can put them in the community or send them to other people and because I'm seriously need any information. I have scoured crop circles, like spent hours.
What are these things, right?
Yeah, like this is close, but that's not it, and that's not it, and it's burned in my mind what they look like. So they made sure
Andrea and I did the mystery on the Voynich
manuscript.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so fascinating.
And that was also similar to what you're talking about. What we got. Really? It needs to be decoded by someone that understands alien technology.
I wrote about the Voynich manuscript. It's in my story too.
Oh, did you?
An alien lost it in the timeline. Just
So-
throw my little story bits in there. But yeah, I think that's great. I would love it if anybody would take a look at that and tell me if it looks.
That is crazy too. I mean, it's like, but that's what I was sensing. It was like, you know, downloaded from alien technology or whatever, but no one can decipher it yet.
Right. That's a strange looking book is what it, I mean, it's weird. And these symbols, I don't know if I'm just supposed to, if I see them, I'm like supposed to go in that direction. Like if it's on a door, do I open that door? Or if it's in a crop circle, do I go to that crop? What is it? And it looks, when you see it, you'll know what I'm talking about because I'm really just looking for a pen around here, but it looks like something you would see on a piece of alien technology. It's just it looks like a hieroglyphic, kind of.
Sure.
Hieroglyphic-y. Both circular. Yeah, I can't wait till I need to do that.
Yeah, I just like it to look at it. I mean, if someone
I'll
says,
send it.
show it to Cass Peters, maybe he can visualize it.
Oh, gosh. He does do his pictures, doesn't he? That, I mean, it could help.
He's not so sure about doing alien stuff.
I don't think he's not really an alien person though, from what I've gathered from his.
No, I haven't either. He did what was it? Throwing a brain fart. What's that in England area? The Stonehenge.
Yeah.
He did a Stonehenge one. He didn't have a clue what it was. He was seeing this, that, and everything. And I commented like, "Yep, you're on target." That's what I got from my reading. He's like, "Really?" Okay. He goes, "Thank you. I didn't have a clue. You know,
well,
just what I seen." I go, "Yep, you're right on target. That's what I got."
Well, you know, and Andrea, I know she picks up on the aliens. And maybe you could shoot at her somehow or something. I don't know. Anybody, put it in the community. I would love to get as much feedback on those crazy symbols as I can. And when you see them, you're going to be like, "This is it." Like this is it. This isn't a big deal.
I watched another video, and it was from, I can't remember. I think it was from part of the government, but they released interviews of people that seen spaceships or encounters.
Okay.
And the one showed that when he's seen this, it was the crash sites. There's 2 crash sites they were interviewed about. And this one guy was like 4 or 5 years old. But he says he remembers seeing parts of the ship and it had this writing on it. But he was saying it's like hieroglyphic.
Yeah.
It's not writing. He didn't know what it meant, but he wrote it down or took a drawing of what he's seen. And it was on that video.
So I've seen, I think I know what you're talking about. And that's why because anytime I've seen those where you have people who write down what they saw on a piece of alien tech, it always looks like a hieroglyphic. That's what they look like. That's what the symbols look like. They're just, it's just, you'll see. You'll see. They do look hieroglyphic-y and crop circle-y.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't
alien.
look like Egyptian hieroglyphs.
No, not at all.
It's just, I think they were like weird looking C's and weird looking E's kind of thing, you know, and thick, right?
Yeah. Yep, thick. Yeah. It was thick. Like what I'm going to send you is going to be drawn in pen, but they were thick, you know, like wide. Wasn't
it's like you're using the wide edge of the Sharpie.
Yeah, like of the biggest Sharpie you got, and you're doing this, and then you're doing, that's what it looks like. They're thick symbols, thick symbols.
Yeah.
Definitely not pencil thin. And
if I'm going to get anything, I'm sure it'd have to be a deep meditation to figure out anything. But I'd love to try though.
I appreciate it, and anybody else who wants to take a crack at it, because I've got nothing except that they're mine, and I'm supposed to pay attention for them. That's what I know.
maybe that connection hasn't been made yet to decipher.
That's what I figure. Like if it was so important to show it to me and drill it into my head that these are important to me for whatever reason, then at some point I'm going to run across these and I'll remember and I'll know. For some reason I feel like it's like a door, like if I see a symbol on a door, go through that door. That's like the feeling that I get. Like if I were to see that out of a doors to choose from, that's my door. I'm going to go that direction because that's for me. It's for you. The words in my head when I was seeing them, for you, yours, this is yours, this direction, this is yours, pay attention. Like it was just on like repeat. And I'm like, okay, I'm seeing it. I got it for me. And then, the next several days I just spent scouring the internet trying to find any kind of information on it, images and not one thing. I didn't find one thing. So, yeah. Kind of frustrating.
It's one of those mysteries yet.
One of them.
Someday we'll figure it out.
It'll show itself to me one day, the reason why.
Yeah, maybe it's a connection, through me, through
that
page,
well, very well could be. Well, because I didn't know.
There are other friends that have connections with aliens. They just haven't told themselves, showed themselves.
Yeah. Well, you got Metatron, and since
I had him since, yes,
that made a
he's
ton
a
of
squad. Maybe we just need to channel Metatron a little bit and get that download. Maybe.
I think so.
Could be it. We'll find out. Do the email thing, I'll
tell you all about it. Yes. Yeah.
Well, it's dinner time here.
Okay.
So this has been a blessing. I loved having you on, sharing the story.
Yes. Thank you.
Seeing
so
your pretty
much.
face, of course, instead of text,
Thank you.
But blessings to the family, blessings what you've gotten.
Thank you so much.
Had in your life.
And thank you for the answers that you've given me. And
it's a joy. I'm glad it doesn't.
And hopefully we can get some more.
I know, right?
It might have just been I was supposed to ask more people and find out more and not just work on my own, because sometimes you just need more help of a group of people.
They don't give you the whole answers.
Oh, it's so true. So true. They don't just give me a sheet of paper with everything written out. It's frustrating.
Pretty much. It's like my own guides. They make me work for things.
They do, but when you figure it out, it's so much better that way. It really is. There's something satisfying about it when I'm like, oh, yes, that makes sense. Thank you.
It is more satisfying and it is more exuberant. It's like, okay, I got to figure this out. And back in the day, you go to the library and you're searching and searching and searching and you finally find the book and like, oh, thank God I got it. Finally.
I got it. Yes.
So it's one of those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got
we could
move forward.
We could do a whole entire show just on my travels, but not like woo-woo, but like on the astral things that I've seen and places that I've gone. I have so many questions. I would love any kind of answers from all those people who watch your videos.
Well, we could do that. We could do a question and answer and kind of night.
That would be so fun. I need all the information.
Through the comments and whatever hits I get, and it would be fun.
Yay. I'm excited.
So
I'm excited.
We'll let the peeps get to where they need to go. I need a little grub.
Yes. I better go tend to my family.
See how they're doing on football?
They've stopped shouting, so they must be in between games.
It should be third quarter.
I don't know what happened, but it got awful quiet down there.
What quarter are the Packers on? They're on. Oh no, third quarter. High scoring game. I'm missing a lot.
Oh no. Well, you better get going. Go get yourself some food, and I will get those symbols. I'll text them to you.
See that? It went blurry
Yes,
again.
I saw it. I did. I saw it.
Yeah.
I saw it.
Geez, I'm still blurry.
Yeah, you're still blurry. It's all that energy.
Something. Time to go, I guess.
Okay. I'm going to send you those symbols right as soon as I get off the phone here.
Cool.
YouTube. Okay. Thank you so
All
much,
right.
Scott.
Thank you very much. And blessings,
Bye.
everyone. Thanks for
Thank
hanging
you,
out.
everyone.